Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar. And today's topic is a four-letter word, which to some people is not what you think. It's not a negative connotation. It is a very positive connotation. And this four-letter word is DEBT, debt. We're talking real estate debt. So before I go any further, just want to introduce ourselves. My name is Si-Wing Yi. I'm the owner of the Real Estate Investment Club. It's called Yi Real Estate Network. We're physically all based here in San Francisco Bay Area. However, we do business with investors all over the country. And my special guest speaker is Mr. Richard Advani from Supreme Lending. He specializes in helping investors get financing, get investment loans in all 50 states. His staff also help people to get financing on owner-occupied properties in all 56 as well. He also does refinancing and everything else. So he covered a lot of areas, and he has been his staff has been very successful in helping investors get financing, including our network members. Right. So without further ado. And this four-letter word, if you do it right, we can talk about debt. We can talk about real estate debt. Of course, there are good debt and there are bad debt, and bad debt or consumer debt, credit card debt. So that's an enemy of wealth. However, we talk about debt in terms of the real estate investing kind of debt is an extremely, absolutely powerful scenario. So before going further, I'm going to share the screen real briefly. I just want to recap this powerful thing that this is my philosophy. Income property is an ideal investment. Ideal means I stand for income, D stand for depreciation, E stand for equity growth, A stand for appreciation, and L stand for leverage. So we are only going to talk about leverage today, because leverage equal, amazing real estate growth. And, coincidentally, Richard Advani, he's an investment loan agent. So that's his business, is to talk about investments, financing and leverage and getting mortgages for real estate investors. So I couldn't have found a better person that talk about this, because, being a loan agent for many years, Richard Advani understand the power of leverage in creating real estate wealth. So I'm going to start off by saying, there are many categories of leverage. So we can cover Fannie Mae lending guidelines. We can cover the definition of leverage and the historical interest rates. We can talk about how your tenant can pay down all your debt, mortgage and taxes and insurance, and the mortgage and the tenant will allow you to achieve positive cash flow, assuming you buy a property in a good area. And then we can talk about principal pay down, how you can even pay off your rental mortgage much quicker than you thought. And then we can, at the end of the meeting, the presentation, we could talk about using a pro forma. Pro forma means, it's a cash flow analysis to validate an actual property of how using debt can achieve higher returns and thus allow you to achieve your financial dream. So Richard, what, as a real estate loan agent, investment loan agent, DEBT, debt, what is your definition of debt as it relates to investment?
Well, I think the first thing I'll say is, debt applied in the right way is a very powerful tool in any type of investment. And that pertains particularly to real estate itself. Although you can make a lot of money still and build wealth in buying real estate with cash, the true wealth and exponential wealth is really built by using leverage. If you compare the real estate market versus the stock market over any 10 or 20-year period, generally you'll see that the stock market percentage base outperforms the real estate market. However, once you factor in leverage, once you factor in that you can buy a $200,000 or $400,000 or $2 million property with just 20% down, and you look at the percentage return factoring in, once again, that you're putting 10% down, or excuse me, 20% down of that $200,000 or $100,000 property, the amount of growth that you're able to basically be a part of, the return ends up being 4 times what the stock market return was. Generally you're looking on real estate. I think the stats are over, I'll have to check the exact period, but it basically gave 1,000% return versus the stock market's 400% return over the same time period. And the interesting thing is, without leverage, that same return on real estate would have just been 100%, which, that's great, right? You double your money, but the stock market in that same time period quadrupled your money until you factor in leverage. So leverage is a beautiful tool. Also the amazing thing as real estate investors, of course, we write off the interest against our total profit for the property for the year. So in some sense, we're able to write off that interest. And then, like Steve Wing said, at the end of the day, you have someone else who's actually paying to service that debt. Your tenant, right? You're not paying that interest yourself. Your tenant's paying it. So yeah, debt is a tool, especially when managed effectively. And we're not talking about credit card debt here, of course. It's income producing debt.
Richard, absolutely. I mean, I say it again, and many investors, whether you're a newbie or experienced investors, which I come across, I'm sure you have also, Richard. When you deal with a investment loan client, I mean, a lot of the terminology you try to discuss with your buyer, a lot of times you get frustrated because they don't understand. So our job is to educate and inform our investors. So they could make informed decision buying rental properties. And so this is no exception. So we're going to use this real life example of how you can apply the leverage and debt and achieve a powerful portfolio, which you cannot outlive. I mean, it'll give you total financial freedom. If you do it right, if you buy in the right market, if you buy the right type of property, if you use the right number crunching, we're not going to talk about, we don't have time, we only have 15 minutes left. Time go by so fast, but this is a real life situation. Now, this is a single family home. It doesn't matter where it's located, all right? This is just, for me, it's a generic example. We just try to illustrate and articulate what we're trying to say when we use the word leverage. Now, before we even begin, Richard, let's go. That's why we believe an income property is, in my opinion, is the history in the world's most attractive, most multi-dimensional asset class. I'm sure you agree, Richard. I mean, you and I, we have most of our portfolios consist of single family home residential. So, however, and we've been successful at it, residential investing, the way I describe it is 1 to 4 unit, meaning a single family home, rental property, a duplex, a triplex, and a fourplex. 1 to 4 unit, you're getting the most favorable financing through Fannie Mae lending guideline. Each individual, assuming they qualify, they're able to get 10 mortgages, okay? And then if a person is married, their spouse, if he or she qualify, a family unit can buy another 10 mortgages, assuming they have the down payment and so forth. So, getting 1 to 4 unit in a good market, in a cash flow market with the lowest historical rate. I mean, see, whether you get a mortgage for a single family home or mortgage for a fourplex, 1 to 4 unit, is only accounts for 1 mortgage. I mean, that is, if that's not economizing, if that's not efficient, I don't know what is. So briefly, right now, we're still at a historical interest rate. So Richard, can you briefly share what are the interest rate on a mortgage, 1 to 4 unit at this current environment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, most people don't realize, but investor rates right now, today, August 12th, are lower than they even were a year or two ago. So they're the lowest I have ever seen them. Generally you can get into a 30-year fixed mortgage on a rental in these days in the mid 3% range, which is absolutely insane. I mean, you got to think and remember, up until the pandemic hit, so year and a half, 2 years ago, the lowest people really got primary home rates were in the mid threes, right? And we all thought we were at the bottom, and what we've seen since is primary home rates have dropped to the high twos, and rental rates now are in the mid 3% range, which is, I mean, it's mind-boggling, really. When you think of 30-year fix in the mid 3% range, I mean, it's such a big hedge against inflation as well. Just in the last 10 years, the cost of bread, the cost of deodorant. I ordered something on Amazon. I saw last time I ordered it was 3-4 years ago. It's doubled since then. And imagine having this in real estate investment with the 30-year fixed, payments the same forever, cost of everything else goes up, rents go up as well in the long term, but yet you still have this low 30-year fixed in the mid threes. It's that alone is a buying opportunity, right? If you look long term, especially, set aside where the market is, set aside that everything's extremely high, that rate makes up for it. It really does. And I think that's what's driving a lot of, obviously, the activity in the market as well.
Richard, absolutely. As a matter of fact, on a personal basis, I mean, my wife and I mean, post-pandemic, I mean, we are frustrated because each time we go out, whether we shop for groceries or eat in a restaurant or rent a car or try to budget for vacation, we just realize how everything is getting to be so expensive. We're talking about inflation. I mean, we are heading into an inflation environment. Everything is your purchasing power. If you want a fixed income, if you rely on your W-2 salary, you can't keep up with inflation. So your money have to work harder. You cannot put your money in a mattress. You cannot put your money in a savings account or checking or savings earning you less than 1%. Even the stock market historically earns you maybe 4 to 6% with no leverage, as you discussed momentarily ago. So, if you do not invest in hard assets, physical assets such as real estate, that will, over time is a hedge against inflation. You're not going to get ahead financially. I mean, how many times you and I, Richard, try to tell our clients that? I mean, it's just sometimes it's frustrating. Anyway, let's go on. All right, let me share the screen back again. Let's go over this pro forma, and this pro forma is an illustration of what we try to talk about. I mean, now first you're thinking, oh, this single family home rental property, oh, by the way, is located in Cape Coral, Florida. It doesn't matter, could be anywhere, right? $330,000. We're talking $330,000 single family home, perhaps 4-bedroom, 2-bath in a suburban area, which is the path of growth. Suburban is the way to go these days with epic migration, post-pandemic, and all that. You're thinking, how can an investor cash flow behind a $330,000 property? Well, I will justify with this, with these numbers, and now we're getting like $2,250 monthly gross rent. Now you ask yourself, what kind of fool would rent a property for $2,250? Well, a lot of people, as a matter of fact, in many of the markets that we are promoting right now in the past 12 months, and we have, each property that our investor closed, our private managers are telling us, in all the markets that we're promoting, many markets in the South and Southeast mainly, I mean, for each house that closes, we have like 100 inquiries from rentals, and that result in 30 to 40 rental applications for that one property that our investor closed. I mean, there's a bidding war. I mean, the highest bidding, the renter that willing to pay a highest rent, our property manager are able to pre-screen and pick the best tenant. And I mean, the renters these days all over the country are fighting tooth and nail to rent our home. We're in a renter's nation. So it's amazing for the foreseeable future. real estate investors had it good because you're making your renter, make you rich essentially. Your renter who willing to pay you $22.50 on a 1-year lease, at least they could pay off your property taxes monthly. In this case, $353. Your monthly insurance at $83. Your property management fee of $176, and maintenance factor. We incorporate maintenance and upkeep, even on this new construction, for example. And at the end of the day, you still have a leftover of a positive monthly cash flow of $324 because the tenant are helping you pay down your mortgage, pay down your debt, make you rich, pay down all your expenses. At the end of the day, your rent to value ratio is a little bit less than 1%, which is very ideal. We're not going to talk about capitalization rate. It will take another 20 minutes. Cash on cash return, everything looks favorable. But the key you need to understand is the total return on investment is 36%. So, and then this investor is getting 20% down payment, which is 80% loan to value, and interest rate is 3.6. See, by having a lower historical interest rate, like Richie said, your cash flow better. And so this is a very good. The numbers looks very, very favorable. And so if you look at if the monthly net cash flow 324, your annual net cash flow is almost $4,000. Then I projected a mere 5% appreciation for next 12 months, which equal at the end of the first year, your appreciation of your property equals $16,500. So your annual appreciation projection at the end of the first year plus your annual net cash flow, these two numbers equals 26,000, almost 26,000. These 26,000 divided by your down payment and closing costs of 71,000. At the end of the first year only, you're getting 36% return on your investment because you're using the power of a debt, of good debt, the power of leverage, as we discussed. And this is only the first year. At the end of the first year, beyond the first year, if you probably continue in a 10-year investment time horizon, Richard, help me with the calculation. In 10 years, what is the total return investment of the money our investor only put in a total of 71,000? Our investor putting using $71,000 of his or her money to buy a $330,000 physical asset. I mean, this is mind-boggling. Richard, can you use some numerical calculation? I mean, it doesn't have to be precise. Beyond the first, second, third year, if this cash flow continue and the rent is going to go up, the rent, the rent's going to go up, and appreciation is going to go up. So give me some estimation of the second to the 10th year. What is the total return on investment? I mean, this is just mind-boggling. Investors need to understand that. So Richard, share with us, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so the picture is really small. I can't review most of the numbers, but based on what you're saying, I mean, you're talking about a return and making at least your initial investment back in 3 to 4 years, which is crazy. If you're talking a 10-year return, I mean, you're doubling, tripling your money, a couple 100% once you factor in the tax savings and paying down the balance and everything else you covered. So once again, factoring in leverage and those low rates, even though you look at the property and think, hey, it's a high purchase price, you still are able to generate cash flow and a very good return.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just amazing. I mean, yeah, that's what we try to prove to you, right? I mean, and then one additional thing you can do, a 30-year mortgage. You know what's the definition of mortgage? If you look in the dictionary, is another definition of mortgage is amortization. 30-year amortization. The definition of amortization is like mortgage is mortality. That means death. that means, right? So yeah, the assumption is you're gonna pay off your mortgage in 30 years, or your tenant will pay off the mortgage in 30 years. Is it really 30 years? No. All right. There are two exit strategies that I'm going to share with you briefly. One, over time, for the next 10 years or longer, you have two strategies. Maybe you have three, okay? you'll continue to have this investment, at least one, maybe probably hopefully a lot more, depending on how much money you have to buy multiple properties over time to create your real estate portfolio. So there are three exit strategies. One is do nothing, continue to collect your rent, to continue to hold onto your property for 10 years, not do anything about it. Your property will grow 6% appreciation, whatever, right? And then if you use the rule 72 divided by the annual appreciation rate, if the annual appreciation rate is 6%, multiplied into 72 equals what? 12. So your asset, your property will double in value in about 12 years, right? So in this situation, this $330,000 property will become what? $660,000 in 12 years based on the rule 72, the compound interest, right? And then at 660, 12 years from now, if the property continue to appreciate at 6% per year, which is pretty reasonable, that 660 property in about 24 years from now will become what? 1.3 million. So in 24 years, in a compound interest, 6% annual appreciation rate, this $330,000 property will compound into 1.3 million in 24 years. All right. So think about, as an investor, you need to think about long term. Now, that's one way to do your exit strategy. Another exit strategy, Richard, is I'll get to you in a moment, is to cash out refinance, right? You can cash out refinance until you die. Let's say you have 5 to 10 investment property, $330,000 each, which you purchased today for 20% down payment, right? And then over the next 4 to 5, 6, 7 years, your property will achieve 6% appreciation. You have a lot of equity. You can cash out the equity on some, if not all of your real estate portfolio, all of your houses. You do whatever you want. You can buy more properties. You can go on vacation. You can pay for your children's college education, 10 years later, whatever. And by cash out refinance is a tax-free transaction, right? And then, it works, right? So you can achieve financial freedom that way. And the third exit strategy is to pay down your mortgage. No, when your tenant, you have cash flow, right? So you can use your principal pay down, accelerate. You can pay the cash flow you're receiving. You can use that monthly cash flow to pay down your principal mortgage once per month. That way, Richard, you can pay off your 30-year amortized loan with 7 to 10 years, or maybe around that time. So you're using the cash flow from each house to pay down the mortgage in 7 to 10 years, because your principal pay down, you pay the actual principal per month, once a month, right? Then you can reduce the 30 mortgage in about, pay off the debt. You'll be debt free in about 10 years, right? And then at that time, your real estate portfolio will have no more mortgages. So your cash flow, your rental income, your passive income will increase significantly without any debt. So that's another strategy. So Richard, I know everybody's situation is different. From you as an investment loan agent, what are your thoughts about the 3 exit strategies, which I just went over?
I'd say that the important thing for everyone to note is the exit strategy is going to change depending on your personal scenario. And, depending on how old you are, depending on how much, retirement savings you have, how much cash you have in the bank, everyone's strategy is going to be a little different. And to clarify, if you're in your mid-30s, you may be more geared and you're working full time and you're going to be working for a long time. You may be more geared towards, applying that monthly cash flow you're getting from the property towards, paying them off. That way, when you do get to retirement age, they're going to be paid off and you will be generating, a lot of cash flow with no mortgage. But on the other note, if you're in your mid 40s or if you're 50, it's not realistic for you to pay that off by the time you retire. So the cash flow side may be more important to you, in which case, you'd either take that monthly cash flow now or pool that monthly cash flow, as you said, to buy another property, which, in turn is going to give you more cash flow. So, I think talking to C-Wing and talking to me to determine what exit strategy best suits you and what type of investment best suits you in your scenarios. Very important. There's no right or wrong answer. They're just different paths to lead you to building real estate wealth. Some of it is taking dividends now, and some of it is reinvesting those dividends, i.e. cash flow, to a later date. But either way, as we always say, sitting on the sidelines is going to do nothing for you. Your savings account rate doesn't even keep up with inflation at the moment. So, if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in a checking account or a savings account or even a CD, you're losing money.
Absolutely, Richard. I think you basically recap everything what we try to discuss. So there's nothing more we need to say. So, we're going to sign up momentarily. Thank you, Richard Advani from Supreme Lending. Your contact information is on the body of my video, so don't worry. So other than that, thank you for listening. I hope this powerful information we just shared will resonate with you. Real estate investing is in my mind is very low risk because they are the renters nation. There's so many people renting these days. You should have no problem, well, very little problem renting your property out if you buy in the good areas, in the areas that we're promoting. But that's another topic for another discussion. So anyway, that's all we have to say. Thank you for attending Richard Advani again on this podcast, and talk to everyone soon, and see you on the other side. Have a nice day. This is Si Wen Yi. Goodbye.